Hey everyone, ready to unlock some serious study superpowers? We're going deep today into memory and some super effective study techniques to help you absolutely dominate those exams.
It all starts with understanding our memory, how it works.
Right. It's like we jump right into studying.
Exactly like trying to drive a car without knowing where the gas pedal is.
I like that. Okay, so first things first, let's break down the whole short-term memory versus long-term memory thing. Why does it even matter for exams?
Well, think of short-term memory, like that notepad you keep on your desk. You jot down a phone number, a quick reminder, stuff like that. It's there for a moment and then
Oof.
gone.
Pretty much. Now, long-term memory, that's more like a giant library. Information can stay there for years.
So for exams, we want to get the info off the notepad and into the library, right?
Absolutely. And that's where encoding comes in. It's not just about how much you study, but how you study it. One of the sources we looked at talks about this levels of processing framework. Basically, the deeper you process info, the better you'll remember it. Deeper processing. What does that look like when I'm actually studying?
Okay, so imagine you're reading a textbook, just skimming the words. That's shallow processing. But if you start highlighting, questioning yourself, maybe even explaining the material to someone else,
That's engaging with it.
exactly. That's deeper processing. You're creating stronger memories that way.
It makes you think about all those times you spaced out in lectures or skimmed a chapter, and then poof, the information's gone.
Exactly. And that leads us to some really cool study techniques, like spaced repetition. One source called it the most powerful evidence-based learning technique.
Wow. Okay, but what's so great about spaced repetition isn't cramming better? I mean, it's what we've all done at some point.
Really have, but cramming is like overloading a circuit. With spaced repetition, you're revisiting the material over time. There's this thing called the forgetting curve, but each time you go back to the material, you forget less.
So you're kind of outsmarting your brain's tendency to forget things.
You got it. And there are even tools for this. Flashcard apps like Anki or Quizlet can help you with that.
So it's like having a personal forgetting curve buster in your pocket. Cool. What other awesome techniques do we have? I'm ready to upgrade my study game big time.
Well, have you ever heard of active recall? That one's a game changer. It's all about forcing your brain to actually retrieve the information you're trying to learn.
Oh, okay. So instead of just passively rereading my notes or highlighting everything, I'm quizzing myself.
Exactly. It's like giving your brain a workout. Instead of just absorbing, you're pulling the information back out.
So it's like building mental muscle.
You could say that.
Yeah.
The more you challenge yourself to retrieve information, the stronger those memories become. And that's what we want, right? Strong, reliable memories that'll stick with you through exam day.
Absolutely. This is great stuff. I'm already feeling more confident about tackling my study sessions. Okay, so we've covered spaced repetition and active recall, two really powerful techniques, but are there any other strategies to make those study sessions even more effective?
Well, there's this technique called interleaving that can be pretty effective. Basically, instead of just focusing on one subject for hours, try switching between different topics during your study session.
So, like instead of a marathon history session, I should mix in some bio or maybe even a little math.
Exactly. One of the sources we looked at, a cognitive psychologist, he was saying that interleaving keeps your brain engaged and helps you make those connections between different concepts.
It's like cross training for your mind.
Yeah. And keeping things organized, that's super important. That's where mind mapping and chunking come in. You know, that feeling of cognitive overload. These tools can help you prevent that.
Oh, yeah, cognitive overload. It's like my brain's going to explode from trying to cram everything in at once.
Yeah.
So, how do mind mapping and chunking help with that?
Well, mind mapping, that's a really visual way to represent how different concepts are connected. Almost like creating a map of the information with branches and connections that show how ideas relate to each other.
So, instead of just linear notes, it's a more visual, interconnected structure.
Exactly. And then there's chunking, which is basically about breaking down large amounts of information into smaller, more manageable pieces. Like, think about phone numbers. We don't remember the whole string of digits all at once, right?
Right.
We break them into chunks, the area code, prefix, and line number.
It's like organizing a messy closet. You categorize your clothes to find them easier. So instead of trying to cram a whole chapter into my brain at once, I should break it down into smaller, more logical chunks.
Exactly. It's all about managing that cognitive load,
Yeah.
making things easier to process and remember later on.
These techniques are amazing. I'm feeling way more confident about tackling my study sessions now. But honestly, no matter how great our study techniques are, there's always that exam anxiety that can mess things up. Any insights on dealing with that pre-exam stress?
It's super common, test anxiety. It's just our body's natural fight or flight response kicking in, even though the threat in this case is just an exam.
It's like our ancient survival instincts freaking out over a stack of papers. No wonder our hearts race and our minds go blank. So what can we do to tame that anxiety beast?
Preparation is key. The more confident you are in your knowledge and the more you've practiced, the less power that anxiety is going to have over you.
I like that, like building a fortress of knowledge to protect yourself. But even with all the preparation, those pre-exam jitters can still sneak in. What about tips for managing those feelings in the moment, like right before the exam starts?
Absolutely. Deep breathing, that's a powerful one. When we get stressed, our breathing gets all shallow and rapid, which just feeds the anxiety cycle. But if you consciously slow down your breathing,
You're breaking the cycle.
you got it. You're sending a signal to your brain that things are okay.
So just taking some slow, deep breaths can help calm those nerves and even improve focus.
Yep. It's like hitting the reset button for your nervous system.
Yeah.
And then there's also positive self-talk. Instead of letting those negative thoughts take over like, I'm going to fail or I don't know anything.
Try to reframe them into positive affirmations.
Exactly. Something like, I've prepared for this or I can do this. It might sound a little cheesy, but studies show that positive self-talk can actually help reduce anxiety and boost your confidence. It's about shifting from fear of failing to believing in your abilities.
I am totally on board with a little cheesy positivity if it helps me crush those exams. But even with all the prep and mental strategies, sometimes those exam questions can still throw us for a loop. Any advice on how to approach different types of questions strategically?
Well, for multiple choice questions, one of the sources we looked at talked about the importance of reading each question super carefully, paying attention to keywords. It's easy to skim and miss important details, you know?
So slow down and really dissect what's being asked.
Exactly. And watch out for tricky wording, like words like accept or not. Those little words can change the whole meaning of a question. And if you miss them, you might pick the exact opposite of the right answer.
Ugh, those sneaky words. What about essay questions? Those can be pretty intimidating.
For essays, planning is key. Before you even start writing, take a few minutes to brainstorm your ideas and create a little outline. Helps you organize your thoughts and write a clear, coherent answer.
It's like creating a roadmap for your essay.
Right. And remember to back up your arguments with evidence and examples from what you've studied. Show the examiner that you haven't just memorized the information, but that you really get it.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. It's like we've built an exam survival kit.
We have. And the main takeaway, success in exams isn't just about being smart. It's about preparation, strategy, and mindset.
It's about working with our brains, not against them.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about. How can we apply these principles beyond just exams?
Oh, I like that. A little cliffhanger. You're really making us think bigger here.
That's the idea. How can we use these tools to boost our learning and growth in all areas of our lives? Think about that as we head into the final part of our deep dive.
Welcome back. I'm still thinking about that last point you made. It's so easy to get caught up in like the whole exam frenzy and forget that learning isn't just about tests and grades.
Yeah, it's easy to fall into that trap, right?
That's right.
Thinking learning is something we only do to pass a test or get a degree.
But real learning, the kind that sticks with us, it's so much bigger than that.
Exactly.
So how do we apply all these awesome memory and learning techniques to our lives? We're talking everything from learning a new language to mastering some new skill at work, right?
Absolutely. Like, take spaced repetition. It's not just for memorizing facts and figures. Think about learning a new language or practicing a musical instrument.
Instead of cramming all those vocab words or guitar chords into one session.
Spread it out. Give your brain a chance to actually absorb it.
Each time you revisit it, those connections get stronger.
Exactly. And active recall, too. You can use that to solidify anything new you come across.
Yeah.
An interesting article, a conversation, even a new recipe.
Instead of just reading or listening passively, really try to remember the key points.
Like a mental workout.
Totally. And we can't forget about sleep.
So important
Yeah.
for consolidating those memories.
It's easy to sacrifice sleep when we're busy, but we're really doing ourselves a disservice. Our brains need that downtime to process everything.
Absolutely. And beyond the techniques, it's about mindset, too.
Yeah.
Believing that you can learn and grow, that makes a huge difference.
We talked about positive self-talk for exams, but it applies to any learning journey.
It does. Embracing those challenges, seeing setbacks as opportunities, That's how you become a lifelong learner.
It's about realizing you have the potential to grow throughout your life in any area you choose.
And that's what we've been exploring in this deep dive, right?
Yeah.
Unlocking that potential.
It's not just about passing an exam, it's about realizing you have the power to learn and grow constantly.
It's about becoming a student of life, always curious, always exploring new things.
That's a great way to put it. So as we wrap up today, I want to ask you, how can you apply these ideas to your life? What are you passionate about learning? What new skills do you want to develop? Think about it, because learning is an adventure, a journey of discovery. Embrace the challenge, trust the process, and never stop learning.
Well said.
Thanks for taking this step dive with us. We'll catch you next time.